Hi, AT from CNC at Home. It's been a while since I did a clock face video on how to do that in Lightburn, and I want to do another one. This time I'm going to actually make it. I did a fancy coaster and box for my niece a while back with the Stargate theme. Now I want to make a clock that has the same thing. The Stargate is a round object, and it just lends itself nicely to a clock. I have my set of glyphs from the Stargate series, there are 39 of them, and I have the Stargate itself in an art library that I made. I will put the link to the website down below in the description where I found all this. I'm going to start by dragging the Stargate onto our project and sizing it to be the approximate size I want. I'm going to make this about 8 inches. It's actually going to be 205 millimeters. So I got to make that 205 millimeters. This will be the basic of the clock. I will create a circle around it where I will cut through. I will also need to cut a hole in the middle. And for the hour marks, I'm going to use different Stargate symbols. For 12 o'clock, I'm going to use the Earth or the alpha site. Let's go ahead and get that placed on here. And it's going to be a bit on the big side. And so I'm going to resize this. And I came up with the size of 20.68 earlier as I was just kind of sizing it, and that's what seemed to work well. Let's get this whole thing zoomed in so we can see what I'm doing a little better. I'm going to put these glyphs on their own layer so I can easily manipulate them. I also want to get this Stargate all on one layer. It currently isn't. So to do that, I'm just going to turn off our glyphs here, select everything, and then group this together. Now that'll be one group, so anytime I select it, I'm getting the entire thing. I want this aligned so that it's not all the way on top of the Stargate, but just a little below it. And I want it centered. So to do that, I'm going to Shift, select the Stargate. Then I'm going to use the Align option here so that it aligns perfectly with the center of the Stargate. Let's get our center circle that we're going to use and get that positioned. Actually, the outer circle. Let's get the outer circle because our Stargate isn't exactly a circle. It's a little oblong. So we'll start by making a circle. And I'm going to put that on its own layer. We'll do that just as a line. We're going to end up cutting this out. I'll have two of them, one around the clock and one in the center for the works to come through. All right, so I've got that snapped to the center here. And what we'll see, I'm going to come up here and select movement from the center. As I increase the size of this, looking at this, it looks like the inside of the Stargate is actually fairly circular. So we should be good. What I'm going to do is take this circle and I'm going to make its size 5/16 of an inch. I'm using that because that is the specifications for the clock mechanism. Because it's in inches, I went ahead and typed that in as 5/16 inch. And when I hit enter, Lightburn will convert that to metric for me. Now, because this is so close to 8, I'm going to go ahead and change that to 8 millimeters. And it is centered up. on here, I'm going to right click and say duplicate. And now my duplicate, I'm going to resize that as well. And that one's going to end up being the outer burn for this. That's just a little bit large, so I'm going to shrink it down. Okay, that's too much. I'll make it just a little bit bigger. There we go. So looking around our Stargate, I am bigger than the Stargate everywhere, so that will work nicely. I will go into my library. I'm going to cut this out of 3mm MDF. And so I'm going to assign my cut parameters to this layer. So now both the center and this outer edge will cut all the way through. For the Stargate itself, since I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and select my etching or fill parameters. Go ahead and assign that. The glyphs that go on here will also be the same. Looks like that's already set. I'll just assign it just to make sure everything is set up. The next step is going to be to find the positions. This is where I'm going to use my circular array. Let's cancel that. I need to pick something to circle around. So I'll go ahead and select this outer cut. Let me explain how I did that. First thing I do is select what I want to rotate. I want to rotate it about the center of this outer cut, so I press the Shift key and select that circle. Then I click my circular array. I'm going to have it start at 0, go to 360, and I'm going to make 12 copies. So that'll get me a glyph at each position. I'm also going to have it not rotate the object, so they're all vertical. You can see what it's doing there. When I have it rotates each of these glyphs as it comes around. I want them all to stay in their initial orientation. It really doesn't matter what I'm going to be using of each of these is its center location. And I'm going to replace them with other glyphs. When I go to my art library, we can see there's a whole bunch of glyphs here or symbols from the Stargate. As I mentioned, there are 39 of them. And I'm going to position them around the clock. So as an example, here's Pisces. I want to use Pisces because that's my sign, my astrological sign. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on here. I'm going to shrink it up so that it's the 20.68. And I'm going to press the Shift key, select the 6 o'clock position, and then I'm going to center it horizontally and vertically with that. So it's now centered in the correct position. I'll come down and delete the initial or the original symbol. I'm also going to need to get this on the correct layer. I'm going to put that on the blue layer. Another symbol that I want to put on there is Pegasus. I want to put that at the 9 o'clock position, so I will get that on here. I'm going to go ahead and just switch that over to the correct layer, resize it, 20.68, and then press Shift, click the 9 o'clock position, and then get that centered over there. And then delete the original symbol. So that's basically the process. I'm going to go ahead and assign one of these glyphs to each one of these positions, and then we'll take a look at how it's set up. Now that I have each one of the symbols positioned around my clock, I'm ready to take it over to the laser and do the burn. For the most part, there's no rhyme or reason for the symbols that I selected. A few of them there are. And this one Over here kind of looks like an 8. This one kind of looks like a 7. I wanted to have Orion on there, so that's why I chose this one over here. And of course, the Pisces, like I said, we have the Andromeda over here. And over here, we have Pegasus. Pegasus is because of another Stargate show called Stargate Atlantis, and they're in the Pegasus Galaxy. That's why I chose that one. Otherwise, the other ones just looked cool. How this will work is first the Stargate will get burned using the etching parameters. That's this part. Then the glyphs will get burned. That's there. And finally, the cut through on these two red parts. The way that I have my optimizing set up is it should do the interior one first. If we look at my optimization settings, this very first one, cut inner shapes first, is turned on. So it'll do this one first, then this outside one. We do want to optimize this a little bit. If we look at the preview, according to this, it's going to take 1 hour and 39 minutes to do all of this. And here's why. If I show the movement, it's filling in all of this area. It's doing a lot of movement across from one side to other. That's wasted time. It's also doing all of these glyphs together. What I'm going to do is first, in my blue layer, I'm going to change from fill all shapes at once to fill groups together. Let's take a look at what that does. Do my preview. We've saved a little time already. We've saved 5 minutes. And that's by saving the time going from one glyph all the way to the other side and back and forth. So we've saved some time there. What we really need to do is not have it burn a little bit here and come all the way across, burn a little bit here, burn a little bit more, come all the way across. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to take this Stargate image or vector drawing, and I'm going to cut it in half. You'll see how that works here in a second. So we can see what's going on. I'm going to turn everything else off and zoom out just a little bit. And on a construction layer, just going to take the rectangle tool and approximately bisect that so that the middle of this rectangle is bisecting it here. Then to cut this in half, I just select our Stargate. I'm going to select here, select the Stargate. Holding the Shift key, I'm going to select our rectangle, and then under Tools, I want the Cut Shape option. And what that's going to do is it's going to cut this into 2 pieces. And you can see that when I select, this side gets selected or this side is selected. I can even move it, and you can see that it's now 2 pieces. Because this was in fill mode when I did that, Lightburn is smart enough to know to close off all of my intersections so that they fill properly. If I turn this to line mode, you'll see that quickly how it's closed off all of these. So it's a nice feature to be able to do that. Let's get that put back together. Get our other layers turned back on. And now they've gotten out of order, so I want to move that. I want to take this, move it back up to the top, then cut our glyphs, and then finally cut the thing out. Let's take a look at our preview. I'm pressing the Alt-P on the keyboard to do this. You can also just come up and select on this TV looking thing, and that does our preview. All right, so it looks like it didn't do the change we wanted. We have to come in here and change our optimization like we did with the blue layer. Click OK. Now it's going to do one side first and then the other. Take a look at our preview. There. Now we're down to 1 hour and 24 minutes. So that's a bit faster than the hour 39. So we're saving 15 minutes on our burn by just doing those couple quick changes to the optimization and to the image itself so that it burns more quickly and doesn't waste time moving around. If we just do a quick preview of this, we'll see how it's burning over here. And then it'll just burn its way up and around the Stargate, and then it'll get the other side. Once it's done with that, then it will burn our glyphs around the center, and finally it'll do our hole in the middle and cut the entire thing out. Now it looks like we're getting a fair amount of overburn on these, more than I really need. We can probably save a little bit more time by changing that parameter just a little bit. Let's head back and take a look at that. So for our letters, here's what I'm talking about. We have a 3% overscan, so when it gets done burning, it goes another 3%, or in this case, 2.25 millimeters, as slows down, changes directions, and comes back. So that's 4.5 millimeters of extra travel. I'm going to just lower this a little bit to be 1% overscan. And on the Stargate itself, I'm going to change that as well to be just 1%. Take a look at our preview and see if we've saved much time there. We actually did. It was 124, now we're 118. So that's another 6 minutes shaved off. So now we've shaved off 21 minutes off this burn with just a couple quick changes. Everything looks good here. Now this is ready to send to the laser. Let's go ahead and get our material set up, get the laser focused, get it squared and zeroed, and then we'll do the burn. Before I start the burn, what I usually do is a frame. That's something within Lightburn that will show me a square essentially around where I'm burning to make sure that I'm on my material. That looks good, so I go ahead and start the etching process on the MDF. For this, I do not have the Air Assist on because I don't like the way that the etching looks with Air Assist, so I left it off for this. I did turn it on for burning through the material. Now that I've burned through the material, I'll go ahead and pull the excess away and take a look at our clock face. Looks good. Go ahead and pop this middle part out. That's where the clock mechanism will come through. Because the clock mechanism that I purchased requires a 6 millimeter material to go through, I'm going to cut a washer essentially out of the remaining MDF. This will give me a second layer of 3 millimeters so that I'll get my full 6 millimeter spacing for the clock mechanism. Here's the Stargate clock with the works installed. So I have the hour hand, the minute hand, and the second hand installed. It turned out nicely. The dimensions are good and it tells time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy the content of our channel, think about subscribing. Enjoy doing your CNC at Home projects.